Howdy YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So this video is going to serve as a bit of an update to how I've been going with the PPG Envirobase and the PPG water system in general. So I'll just be taking you guys through the clear coat stage on this job here, but I'll be doing my best to go into detail of how things have actually been going. And I've been using this system for over a year now, and I feel like I'm finally starting to get the hang of how to spray it properly. I guess a big part of that is that it seems like you're kind of on your own. And the people that have been more helpful to me are actually the Instagram followers. So one thing that I can see it even just from watching this footage is you probably noticed that I painted the flat section of the bonnet first. I then came around and did the front section, and within a few seconds, like it's been less than a minute, when I came around and did the front section, it was already going dry, like it was already giving you dry spray. And I used slow reducer in this job here. So look, the few things that I've finally found out that you need to do with this paint is thin the clear coat down more than what they say. So here they recommend, so the clear coat I'm using is the LVC 136 clear coat, and that's 3:1 to 0.8. That's their recommendation. They say you can go up to 3:1 to 1, but I've found even 3:1 to 1 is not enough reducer. If you want a nice finish like you're seeing me do on this, as I say, like you might look at this job and say, hey, what are you complaining about? Like this looks great, and it does look great. But I had to go outside of their recommendations to get this, if you know what I mean. So yeah, if I had mixed it up at their recommended thinning ratios, I would have had orange peel for days. So yeah, what I did on this one, I used slow reducer, and if it asks for 3:1 to 1, I'll put the 3:1 to 1 reducer in, and then I'll put in an extra 30%. So if it asks for 100 grams of reducer, I'll put in 130 grams of reducer. So only 30% of extra of the reducer. And I just did that. I just kind of came up with that off the top of my head. I thought I'll see how it goes. And as it turned out, it actually seems to be a good ratio for me these days. So you might notice that on that second coat, I did decide to go and do that front section first. So I didn't go and get any dry spray. So I have found this clear, like it doesn't move much, like it doesn't really seem to flow much at all, and it's very thick, as I say. So if you want to know, if I know that the 136 clear is only an Australian and New Zealand clear, but if you're like from the rest of the world, D8173, it's identical. I would probably go as far as saying it is actually chemically identical, but I won't go into all of the details on that. But sometimes we do actually run out of the 136 and we have to replace it with the international clear 8173, and they're identical. They're the same thinning ratios. They seem to spray the same for me. So yeah, if you use that clear overseas, you know the one that I'm talking about. And the next thing I'd like to talk about is the base coat itself. So what we've been getting, look, I've been working here, as I say, for over a year now, and you get pretty bad dieback with this base coat and clear coat. But I found one way to stop it, and that's by putting more reducer in the base coat. The reducer being the water, because it's waterborne base coat. So here in Australia, again, and this is why it's taken me so long to nail it, I think, because it's so far outside of their recommendations. So their recommendations is 15% reducer for metallics and 20% for solid. Now, early on in the piece, I put the word out to people on Instagram, and they said, hey, you want to put some more reducer in? So I ended up putting a little bit more in. I got up to 20%, and I've been spraying at 20% for a while, up until now, up until recently. And the thing is, like, if you actually look at the technical data sheet, it says that it should be going through a viscosity cup at 22 to 28 seconds. Don't quote me on that, but it's something like that. 22 to 28 seconds. Now I put it through the viscosity cup at 15%, and it goes through at like 45 seconds. So it's way outside of their own recommendations. And it turns out that PPG Australia just made that 15% thinning ratio up themselves. So they obviously haven't gone and readjusted the technical data sheet to go and make those two numbers marry up. So that's how I kind of caught them out on that one. And you know what? I've been thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? I bet that technical data sheet originally was made in America by the people who made it, by the people who have done the R&D, by the people who know that if you don't put enough reducer in, well, then you're going to get dieback. And then another thing, I would actually like to say a big thanks to the Swedish PPG rep. He's been a world of help. Like, there's been a few times where I've had a few issues, and he's, and this is on Instagram, he's jumped in and he's like, oh, try this, and a few other American guys. They really helped me out of, a bit of a pickle where I was just about ready to give up on the whole system. I'm like, man, I'm done with this. Like, I was getting terrible, well, not terrible, but results that I really wasn't happy with. I actually thought that it was solvent boil for a while. But in hindsight, yeah, it definitely wasn't solvent boil. It was dieback. So it was the base coat. So it was basically because of the 15% reducer recommendation that they give you that it wasn't drying properly. So because there's not enough reducer in there, it doesn't dry properly. So the first thing that I noticed once I went up to 30% reducer, the first job that I did, I tack ragged it and it just slid over that base coat like silk. You know, it was just amazing. The tack rag just slid over, you nearly slipped over. It was so smooth and silky. So the coverage is not quite as good, but generally I've found 3 coats still has been enough as long as you choose the right ground coat. But in saying that, like, we did a red car and a blue car, which are renowned for being like the worst covering cars, especially in PPG. Yeah, we did a red car and a blue car, and the coverage on them was just terrible. So, we just had to put a few extra coats on. And then once you got like so many coats on, it's like it never dries properly. It's like I've even you blow it with the air blower at 30 degrees, and then you even give it a bake for 10 minutes. And you still get this dye back, you know what I mean? So, like, on a color like this, it turns out this one didn't dye back that bad. But, yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, look, I think I've got all I can get out of it. Like, I've got as good as I can get with this. Short of getting T492. So, supposedly T492 is an additive that will help the base coat dry. So, we only use T494 at my shop, and when I asked my PPG reps, they the supplier didn't have it, and the PPG rep, he said, oh, I've heard, someone asked for that before. But look, I mean, I think it should be a more widely used thing, and the dieback really needs to be addressed if you ask me. I'm going to give you a quick look at what I'm talking about when I talk about dieback. It's actually quite hard to see on camera. I don't know exactly why it's hard to see on camera, but what I've done here is got some footage of another car. Like, this is old paint. So the reason I'm showing you this is because this is kind of what it looks like, but yeah, sometimes it is this bad, right? So I'm just showing you this because I think it's a good example, and because it's so bad, it really does actually show up on the camera. But yeah, this is the basic idea. You can just see where those lights are. The paint's just breaking apart kind of thing, and it looks terrible. And I guess I should have known that it wasn't solvent boil straight away, because it wouldn't come up with a buff. And solvent boil, like, if you ever load too much clear coat on, that's when you get solvent boil, and that always comes up with a good hard buff. You just put a bit of compound on there, and you just pop those little air bubbles and you can't see them. But as I cast my mind back to even when I was spraying Standox, the only time you would ever get dye back was on your 3 layers. And why would it dye back on your 3 layers? Because you're putting more material on. So there just must be something about the waterborne base coats. You just got to keep it thin. So, like, it all makes sense now. It's been one hell of a journey. Like, it's been a bit of a rough year, to be honest, for someone like myself who takes so much pride in my work. First off, I was just dealing with the orange peel. Like, as I guess I'm the kind of person that, like, I will take someone's word, probably to my own detriment. Like, I probably listen to someone too much, if you know what I mean. I should just be like, hey, I know this is a better way of doing it, so you can say and do what you want, but I'm going to do this. But yeah, I guess I'll start from the point of listening to people. Like, when they said, mix your clear up this way, I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll mix it up that way. And then I just thought, oh, it must be something I'm doing. As it turns out, no, it wasn't anything I was doing. It was the way it was being told for me to mix up. So now I'm putting that extra 30% reducer in. The clear's laying down a lot nicer. And now I'm putting an extra 50, well, I'm doubling the reducer that they recommend in the base coat. It's drying down much better, and that's much better as well. Another thing that they say, like they say not to even put any blending aid down. So especially on a light silver metallic like this, I will always put some clear base coat down so that you can see exactly how you're blending. It also helps with like sanding scratches, but that's another one that they say don't even do that. But I didn't put it down one time, and you can see like sanding scratches through the job. So I don't like it when people come in and say you have to do it this way. Like, I'm the kind of guy that, like, man, if what you're doing is working, go and do it. And I really don't care, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like people coming in and telling me you're not allowed to put the base coat on wet. And it's like, mate, if I want to put the base coat on wet, I'll put it on wet. And if it works, it bloody works, you know what I mean? Like, so if I want to put that first coat on wet just to get coverage, dry it down, and then put a couple of dry, like, medium coats on. If that works, like, why do you even care? Like, if I'm happy using the product, you know what I mean? I don't know why you get those sort of egos in this trade. It's just... maybe it's because of who I am. You know, I go around to many different shops and I seem to cop it a bit. You know, like, people seem to dislike me. I think part of it is they can possibly be jealous of me being the gunman, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. And look, even making this video, I'm putting a target on my head, guys, you know. But look, ultimately, I hope it can help some people out there. I hope that there's some people out there that are new at PPG that are struggling with it that can say, hey, you know what? This guy's right. You should be putting blending aid down. I'm going to be putting blending aid down because it helps the blend. You know what? I'm going to be putting more reducer in that base coat because it stops the dieback. I'm going to be putting more reducer in the clear because it makes it flow out nicely. So, as I say, I'm putting a target on my head, but I think it's worth it because I'm actually trying to do the right thing by my followers, and I actually want I want what's best for everybody. I don't have an axe to grind with anybody. I treat people the way that they treat me. But as I say, guys, hopefully you appreciate my honesty and speaking truth to power. But I know it might seem like a small thing to you, but yeah, this may come back to me in a negative way, but I think it's something that needs to be said, and it's all honesty, it's all from the heart. I speak this entire video off the cuff. I don't script my videos, so yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed watching, and yeah, I can see myself doing some more of these videos because I'm not ashamed of just about every job that comes out of the spray booth anymore. That's a big part of the reason I haven't been doing as many spray painting videos lately, because I really just haven't been happy with the results I've been getting, and I know that I'm capable of much better, but now that I've finally cracked it with putting that extra bit of reducer in, I'm getting much better results. So yeah, hopefully we've got more of this style videos coming soon. Until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out. I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone for watching, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you're more than welcome to go over and check out some of the merchandise we've got. My personal favourite is those spray suits, so they're a good quality Colad branded spray suit with the Gunman logo on it. There's also hats, drink coolers, hoodies and t-shirts, so be sure to go over and check out the link in the description if you are interested.